Okay, welcome everyone. This is Pro Organic Belize's monthly speaker meeting, and today we have Esteban Assi from the Yasha Conservation Trust. He is located in the Toledo district down south, and his talk is going to be about cacao agroforestry in southern Belize, a pathway to food and nutritional security. So that should be most interesting, since I don't know of too many people that don't like the result of cacao with chocolate. So however we can use that for our food and nutritional security, I'm all for it. Okay, just a couple of kind of ground rules for the meeting. Those of you who haven't been on one before, this is being recorded and it will be posted on the Pro Organic website, usually in a couple of days. And so anybody can go and watch the recording from there. We do ask that everybody on the call, except the person speaking, that they stay muted, which just everybody, I think by now knows the background noise can be quite prevalent sometimes. So if everybody will just stay muted, that would be appreciated. And then we do allow the people to have questions for our speaker. So you can do that anytime during the presentation by raising your hand. And what that is if, like at least on my screen, if I go to the option of more, and then it has reactions. And under reactions, there's a thing that says raise hand. So if anybody has a question for Esteban, we just ask that you do that, and then I'll let him know that there is a question, and then that person can unmute themselves and ask their question. Esteban will answer, and then we'll go back to his presentation. Just a real quick introduction to Pro Organic. Our Facebook page has lots and lots of details about Pro Organic, and that's facebook.com/Pro Organic Belize. And then our Facebook group is what we use for discussion, and that's facebook.com/groups/Pro Organic Belize. So check both of those out. I know Karen's been so good about keeping our Facebook page and groups and all updated and up to date and everything, and that's where she posts our speakers meetings plus other things that are coming up. Pro Organic, the organization. Our website is pro-organicbelize.org, and you will find lots and lots of information on the website about our organization, kind of what we're about, and how to join. Like I say, you can find the videos there from all of our speaker meetings that have been recorded on Zoom for 2 years now. So feel free to go there, and you'll see the link to the speaker meetings, and just click on whichever one you want to view, and you get to catch up a little bit. We also have a consumer group that people can sign up for pesticide-free produce each week. So you can find out information on the website also about how you can do that. The produce is delivered, most of it here in Cacao, but there may be other options of sending it to other parts of the country. But check out the website about how to get on the list for that. Okay. Like I say, our topic today is cacao agroforestry in southern Belize from Esteban Assi from the Yasha Conservation Trust. So we will have him get started, and I'll turn the screen over to Esteban, and it's all yours. So thanks for joining us, everybody.
All right. Thank you very much, Jenny. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining in. I know it's a Saturday, and thank you for taking the time out to join in on this presentation. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so today my presentation is Cacao Agroforestry in southern Belize, pathway to food and nutritional security. Firstly, my name again is Esteban Assi Jr., and I'm an Extension Officer with the Yasha Conservation Trust. So my presentation today will look at not only cacao, but also the different varieties of trees that are planted within an agroforest system. So all leading to why we should secure both food and not only food, but healthy food, right? So as was mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please let me know. I want it to be a very interactive session. I see some of the participants there, some people I know already from the district, right? So let us hear about the work of Yasha and what we are doing with the farmers. A bit about the Yasha Conservation Trust. There was this group of community members from Golden Stream who realized that a parcel of land was up for sale within that area. So for them to safeguard, or for them to take care of the area, they decided that they would purchase it. And that was when the Golden Stream Corridor Preserve was purchased by these committee members. The Yasha Conservation Trust works within the Maya Golden landscape. Some communities in this area, over a total of 770,000 acres of land. This includes both communities within the area, but also the protected areas. To date, the Yasha Conservation Trust takes care of the Golden Stream Corridor Preserve. It co-manages Bladen Nature Reserve and the Maya Mountain North Forest Reserve. So the Golden Stream Corridor Preserve is a private protected area, while the Bladen Nature Reserve and the Maya Mountain North Forest Reserve are both co-managed, meaning that the main managers or the direct managers would be the forest department. So there's an agreement how and the Yasha Conservation Trust works hand in hand with the forest department to ensure the protection of these areas. So our work focuses on the indigenous communities, as I said, to promote sustainable land use. How is it that we can have these farmers still work in some of the areas, right? But in a way that we can have it for future generation, in a way that we can ensure that how we are utilizing the resources is most efficient. Currently, we have 3 programs under Yasha. One is the Protected Areas Management Program, RPAM, that focuses mainly within the protected areas, talk about enforcement, talk about surveillance, talk about being compliant, ensuring that the regulations in place for these reserves are maintained. And so that the PAM program focuses specifically on that. So there's a team of rangers and the director that go into the area, ensure and monitor any activities that go in there. The second part is the community outreach and livelihoods program. So if you see, there's 3 protected areas that we are working in, but there's also has to be a way how we can have these communities adjacent to the protected areas, use the resources, right? And that is where the community outreach and livelihoods program comes in. What sustainable practices, what best practices, what cultivation methods can we engage the farmers with? Can we educate the farmers about so that they are still able to use the land, but in a sustainable and conservative manner? The other part to it is the science program. The science program works in both areas, the protected areas, and with the farmers, for us to be able to make decisions, for us to be able to measure results. There has to be data, there has to be relevant data, and that is primarily the purpose of the science program, to look at activities being conducted, to look at how these activities are impacted the work, our work, and also the environment around us. So once we gather these results, then we can go out and share with farmers. We can talk with community members. We can make decisions at the organization level how to continue moving forward. So those are the three programs: the Protected Areas Program, the Community Outreach, and the Science Program. So this map here shows basically the Maya Golden Landscape. You can see all that. This is the 770,000 acres of land that we work within. All the way up here, you have the Maya Mountain North Forest Reserve, where we have a concession at the moment, the trial farmers, cacao growers, along with the Yasha Conservation Trust, and also the Forest Department is taking care of that. It's a 936 acre cacao concession. Close to that, the next one to that would be the Bleeding Nature Reserve, right? And then the Golden Stream Corridor Preserve. Now, the communities that we work with start all the way from Bleeding, Trio, Medina Bank, Golden Stream, Indian Creek, Silver Creek, Big Falls, San Miguel, San Pedro, Colombia, San Jose, and Aguacate. Right? If you can see, Aguacate is outside of the MGL, but we have received requests for support from them. And recently, the Yasha Conservation Trust has been going into the area to help these farmers, to provide support as needed. So who are we working with actually? Who are our farmers? Like I showed you earlier, the communities we work with, the 10 communities partially distributed within the Maya Golden Landscape. We are currently working with a total of 125 farming families. We have Mopan, we have Kekchi, and we have some Spanish speaking families we work with. You know, this would be mainly Bleeding and Trio, closer to the Stanford area. All of our farmers are small-scale farmers, and when we talk about small-scale farmers, we are talking about farmers that are cultivating less than 10 acres of land. So were these farmers doing before? Majority of farmers have been practicing the traditional slash and burn, right, and rotational cultivation. Now we know that this in Mayan communities, this is a method that has been practiced over time, right? So farmers, they have this plot of land, they take it down, they cut it down, they burn it, get it ready for planting. They plant it, maybe do another planting afterwards. After that is done, then they move to another plot of land. And then maybe after the 4th year, they come back to the very first plot of land. So that is what we call the rotational cultivation, right? And mainly the crops they have been doing is beans, corn, and rice, right, in the traditional milk farming. So in terms of food and national nutritional security, what do we need to consider? So Yasha, in promoting these practices, right? So has to look at what factors do we have to look at to ensure that there is enough food, not only enough food, but like I said, healthy food that we can consume. So number one is availability, right? That we have to have consistent supply of food through production, distribution, and exchange, right? So that is a very important one, that food has to be readily available. The next one we look at is the access, the affordability. Yes, sometimes there is food, but can we access it? How far do we have to go for it? What is the cost of it, right? So access is another one, allocation of food, and as well the preference of individuals and household. The third one is utilization. Food ingested must be safe and must be enough to meet our physical requirements. So that utilization is very important, because when we talk about safe we have to look at the practices that are being implemented, that are being executed to ensure that what we get at the market, what we get on our table is food that can be consumed, right? And must meet our physiological needs. So it's not just food in itself, but healthy food. Because you can say, oh, I ate food today, but what did you eat? I eat a pack of ramen noodles with sausage. Is that really healthy? So we have to look at, yes, it's food, but it has to be healthy food. The other thing we have to look at is stability, the ability to obtain food over time. So again, we look at the practice that's going to be utilized. We look at the system that's going to be used. Because here we are talking about a longer periods of time that we have to ensure that food will be available, right? And whatever we are doing has to have some form of stability. The other factor is sustainability, long-term ability of food systems. So this is where we bring in the systems that we are promoting, the agroforestry system. You know, there's different types of cultivation. You have monoculture, you have conventional, which is partly with the monoculture. Here we are looking at one crop growing in a mass area. We are looking at a lot more inputs. We are looking at water usage, extensive water usage, especially during the dry, right? So are these systems feasible? So we have to be able to look at providing food over the ability of food system to provide food security and nutrition in a way that does not comprise these other factors, the economic, the social, and the environment, right? And that is why, again, we look at the land availability, how much land do we have, right? So yes, we can think big, we can dream big, but remember the farmers that we work with have a certain acreage of land that they can utilize, right? So overall, what do we want to achieve? Food, but healthy food, because we want to have an active and a healthy lifestyle, right? So Yasha has 3 climate smart practices that has introduced and over the years has produced very good results, right? Through the community outreach and livelihoods program, we are able to teach, we are able to ensure and help out, continue to support with farmers to continue doing these practices. Most importantly, our work is to ensure that people can be able to live and then not harm nature in a way that, you know, we have to ensure that we have it for the future generation. The first one is is the Cacao Operation, and this like presentation is mainly on that. Right now, we are working with a number of individual farmers, you know, but we also work with organized groups. So we have the farmers that get support from Yasha, maybe have the segregated pieces of land, but we also have like a concession in trial where we have 31 farmers working there. We also have Green Creek where over 30 farmers are working. This is another cooperative in San Jose. The next climate smart practice is beekeeping. You know, beekeeping is done with farmers within an integrated farming system or also within the protected areas. So we have some farmers that also have bees within the Maya Mountain, or near the Maya Mountain North Forest Reserve. And the last, the third practice that we promote is the Inga Alley cropping. You know, Inga, the family brewery that talk about improving soils, right? So that we can utilize the soils for vegetable production, for other purposes, tubers and so forth. So it would be nearly like degraded land coming up. So we building the nitrogen level and then having enough shade so we can do these short-term crops. Other things that also fall under the Committee on Peace would be the Integrated Fire Management Program, whereby, well, we work with farmers that still do slash and burn to an extent, or we have farmers outside, other farmers that we don't work with, we still do that. So it's also important that we continue to manage and see how that goes, and continue to inform farmers that, you know, that fire can be detrimental to our environment, and these are the ways you can control your fire burns or so. So we also go out and do that. So why do we promote these climate smart practices? Definitely the first one, to provide an alternative sustainable land use practice, right? So instead of continuous slash and burn, right? Now we are looking at utilize the same land, but to help improve so we can have for the future generation, right? Also, we have to think about wildlife. We also have to think about our watersheds. We also think about the importance of our soil. A lot of people don't think about soil, but soil, if you don't have soil, you can't grow food. So soil is very important, and we need to ensure that we continue to protect that. We need to minimize the effects on our forest cover. Earlier, as I joined in the presentation, Jenny had spoken, oh, you know, Toledo has a lot to talk about. That's true. And why so? Because if you look at Toledo, a lot of good things are happening. If you look at the map, you can just go on the spatial map and you can see how green still Toledo is within the country, right? So that's something good. The forest has a lot to give us. We talk about getting our medicinal soils. We talk about getting firewood, getting our touch leaves for our houses, getting sticks, and what we need for the community, we can depend on the forest. So there's a lot of ecosystem services that the forest provide, so we need to continue to maintain and protect them. To mitigate the effects of climate change on livelihoods. Climate change, I think everybody by now should be talking climate change. We have seen long periods of drought. We have long periods of rain. I think just this past 2 weeks, we had just an abundance of rain, right? So these are effects that we are seeing that now, over time, it is starting more and more to impact the livelihoods of our farmers. Talk about crop failure, talk about changing in planting dates. So farmers themselves are seeing it, and they say, you know what, I just don't want to rely on corn. I just don't want to rely on beans. I have to look at another adaptive system so I can ensure that I will still have food on my table, right? So to build capacity in natural resource management, that again is how we continue to promote the practices at Yasha, and to have available healthy foods. What are the factors considered here? Population growth. When we talk about population growth, yes, we might not be growing as rapidly as cities, as other regions, but there is still some growth, right? So that has to be considered. The availability of land. A farmer has about 10, if at the most 15 acres of land. Land will not grow. His children are coming up. His children's children are coming up. So we have to make sure that we make the best choices when it comes to the practices that we're going to utilize on the land. Right, so any questions? Hello?
Doesn't look like anybody has any
Okay.
questions. So
Okay, I'm just asking because then I'm going and I can't see anything else but my screen. So
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody has one,
Sorry.
they can just, okay, sounds like one.
Yeah, Thank you. I was listening to you, and I'm not hearing anything about pesticides and herbicides yet.
Well, that's because we don't promote pesticides and herbicides, but I'll share in here, right?
Okay.
I'll share, yeah. But thank you, Mr. Vida. I'll keep note of that. So how do we promote to our farmers these practices? One, there's the extension support. There's 3 extension officers under the CUL program that go at least once a month to visit the farmers, to check on them. If there has been a training that has been conducted to ensure that these farmers are conducted the necessary practices. If farmers have some sort of problem within their farm, the extension service out there to see how they can address that. Inspection of new years for farmers that have just started. The procedure is that we go in, we check the soils, ensure that it's adequate for cacao production, it's adequate for other trees to be planted. How do we do that? The science component, the science arm, we bring the soil here, and the science arm does the soil analysis. From the soil analysis, we are able to say, and this is basically macronutrients. From the soil analysis, we are able to say, okay, you need to improve with nitrogen, you need to improve some more carbon. This is the way we are able to tell our farmers. Remember that in terms of inputs, we are working with small scale farmers, so the type of method, the type of system has to be a low cost one. So, and how do we follow up with that? At the Trial Farmers Cacao Growers Concession in the Maya Mountain North, we do plot assessments. These are done at least 3 times per year, quarterly. So every 4 months, along with the science team, the CUL team, and the farmers, the leaders of the trial group, we go into the area, see that the procedures are being followed. Of course, you might have at the boundaries that farmers that we want to do conventional and so forth, but we still have to keep on educating them about it. But at the end of that assessment, we are able to provide a detailed report to the farmers, to the committee members, of how we continue going forward. So every quarter we do that. And if there's something or any activity that we see that might not be in line, then we raise concerns, and then it has to be addressed, right? The other way is capacity building. Most of our trainings are farmer field school settings. So when we conduct our trainings, we are out in the fields doing a lot of the practical. Of course, there's some theory, but we know that farmers learn best by being out in the fields, right? Doing the practical. So that's mainly how we carry our mode of trainings. There's also the citizen science program. The community outreach livelihoods program works hand in hand with the science program on this, right? By educating farmers to be their stewards on their own farm. Here we do mainly wildlife monitoring. So let's say the farmer started with just corn and beans growing, and then we came in with our Agroforest system. And farmers want to note how biodiversity has changed. Farmers want to know wildlife presence. So we set up camera traps, and the farmers, they take down notes as well. And at the end of a certain period, maybe 6 months, because there's 2 deployment of cameras. At the end of that, we take a look at what has been captured within the cameras. So at the end of the day, we are able to provide tangible results as to how these systems that we are promoting are affecting in a positive way the wildlife presence within the area. Right. So all in all these, we also do data collection. Here's a picture of Ronaldo, one of our extension officer, with a senior TFCG member, Trial Farmers member in the cacao farm. What we are doing here is surveying the area, mapping out the area to see the growth of the agroforestry plots over the period of time, right? So ideally, you would have all that information where you can talk about the acreage per farmer, the crop per year. So that's all still work in progress. But at the end of the day, all this information that we are gathering is being fed into a database where we can be able to say, okay, yeah, this is what's happening, these are the results, and then we can not only use it for this decision making, but we can also forecast for the years coming.
So Esteban, we have a question.
Sure.
Dottie wants to know, does Yakache have the capability of testing soil for minor nutrients, or are they just able to test for, what is it, nitrogen, potassium, and
Yes,
K?
just the macro. At the moment, not that I know of, we only do the macronutrients. If you want to do in-depth soil analysis, that would have to go to a lab. Recently, I heard that UB is having a lab and the citrus growers will be having their own lab. But in-house at Yasha, we only do the main nutrients, the macronutrients.
Okay, but you've heard that that University of Belize has a
Yes.
lab or is going
No,
to?
no, it's in the process of doing soil analysis. If you know, if you want to do in-depth soil analysis, it has to be out of the country, whether it
Yes.
be in the US or, yeah, soil tested, whether it be in the US or maybe Honduras or one of these countries, yeah. But not, I don't
Okay.
know of any company that does in-house soil testing. Recently, we were told of that, yes, we will start, and then CPBL is in the process of obtaining a lab as well for that.
Okay. And another
Yes.
question is, does Yakshe coordinate its data collection with BAIMS, BAIMS? I don't know
What does that sound for, may I ask?
Dottie, what does it stand for?
That's the Belize Agricultural Information Management System, that where they've collected information on farmers all over the country.
Okay, well, when it comes to information sharing, I know that our organization, Yasha Networks, it would be just the formality to reach out to them and write to the director, Ms. Christina. You know, again, we were at a meeting with AICA whereby we are looking how to share information more at a national level, right? But I don't think a lot of our reports, if you go to the organization's website, www.yasha.org, you will see that a lot of our reports on whatever work that we do is there and it's easily accessible. There is a comment I see here as well. What is Yasha's position on using chemicals? We have farmers that we work with that use chemicals. In terms of Yasha, we do not promote the use of chemicals, but we also understand that our farmers, some of our farmers use the chemicals. That is why it is our work to show them the other alternative practices that they can use instead of just using chemicals. We do not promote the use of chemicals at any time. We have 3 species that we promote, and the agroforestry system, which I will talk about in a few, does talk about how you can use the system for beneficial insects and so forth. Right?
Thank you.
All right, so now we go into mainly the cacao agroforestry system. So the agroforestry system is part of a wider plan. We have the integrated landscape management, and when we talk about this, we talk about not only forests, we talk about the land, we talk about the sea, we talk about communities. So this is a bigger plan, and then the agroforestry system is just a component, just a part of that, right? Whereby we look at cultivating or look at agriculture, sorry, and forest conservation, right? So how do we merge that relationship? So we believe that the agroforestry system is the best way to go. When you're talking about agroforestry, talking about food security, you talk about food quality, and you talk about food sustainability. In 2004, Yasha started a small-scale agroforestry system. So just working with a small number of farmers. Of course, we had to also go out and learn more about this type of system and introduce it to our farmers. So in 2014, there's the 936 acres of agroforestry concession in the Maya Mountain North. Now, this Maya Mountain North Forest Reserve concession is a story that is being told now throughout the world. It is one example, it is one of best examples how we are utilizing a forest reserve not to extract, but to further develop its value by using cacao as the main crop, and then farmers are able to generate income from it, whilst continuing to protect the area. So we have that, and then we have a 31-member group within trial that's doing that agroforestry concession. There's also the Green Creek Farmers Cooperative in San Jose, whereby we have over 30 farmers that we are working with. All of them also have their plots, 2-acre plots within, but it's at that individual, it's within a group. Also, we have farmers within the NGL that are doing their own agroforestry at a minimum of 3 acres per farmer. So the importance of agroforestry systems, provision of food for farming families throughout the year. So because of the diversity of crops within the farm, there is food throughout the year from this system, right? For existing areas, it can increase productivity and sustainability. Let's say you already had an area that you use probably for corn, use probably for beans, and then you are only getting one crop from it, right? So when you start to introduce the agroforestry, you have other crops, and then you can get more food from it. You also can do it to convert degraded areas. So maybe you're used to your slash and mulch, slash and burn, and then you want to convert it. The agroforestry system is a good system that can help to build your area, help to build your environment, your soils over time, right? And it also adds values to uncultivated land, because now you are talking about fruit trees, cacao being the main crop, you're talking about timber trees, you're talking about leguminous, you're talking about ornamentals. So it does add more value to your land. Also, it is a habitat for wildlife. And this is where I was talking about earlier, the science component. How do we measure that? Right? So you have an area that's open, you have an area that's devastated, and over time with the agroforestry system, you're recovering the area, you're recovering the forest cover, you're improving the environment, and then you have your wildlife coming back as well. And with all this is also an important one, additional income to farmers. I mean, we can introduce any system, but at the end of the day, the farmers also have to think about income, right? Because they have a family to feed, they have children that go to school, they have to invest in health, they have to invest in their household. So it has to be a system that can also show the farmer that some form of income can be generated. At the end of the day, you are buying less and you're able to sell more, right? So you have for your family to feed, and the surplus you can be able to sell. So what's the setup of an agroforestry system? So there's a rule of thumb. If it's an open area, you would have to plant temporary shade. If it's a forested area, then you have to thin the forest. When it comes to shade for the young plants, the rule of thumb is 80 to 20%, meaning that you have to have as much shade. Similarly, when you're growing a baby, you have to take care of it as much. And then over time, you lessen the shade to 20%. So at the beginning, you have 80% shade, 20% sunlight. And when these trees have grown and start to fruit on the third to fourth year, then you can lessen that shade and have 20% shade, 80% sunlight. Of course, that will have to come with a lot of management as well. So what are some of the trees you can have incorporated within that system? Fruit, timber, nitrogen fixers, ornamentals. So, and the soil type, it can be improved with leguminous species and mulch over time. So the leguminous species we are talking about are Lucina, Madre Cacao, Inga, Berberry, Inga, and the mulch would come from the pruning, not only from the cacao trees themselves, but also from the big trees that are grown within your farm. And an important aspect of that is that we follow organic procedures. The question earlier is that do we promote herbicides? No, we follow organic procedures. So all our systems in agroforestry follow organic procedures. But if not all of our farmers do sell to the main crop, which is cacao, to a buyer, right? So, and for them to sell as organic, they would have to be inspected and so forth by the buyer as well, to ensure that they are not using chemicals, to ensure that they are not burning, to ensure that they are following proper management techniques, right? To ensure that they have their proper buffer zone. So all of that is being followed, and once it meets the criteria, then the farmer is considered organic. So we do follow that, and even through our plot assessments, we look at that as well.
So we have a question.
But
Is there a concerted effort to get the farmers that are using chemicals to use alternative safer methods such as neem as a safer pesticide, or growing hemp as a rotation crop to avoid using glyphosate?
well, neem is part of a leguminous species that can be also incorporated within the agroforestry system. The type of system that we are promoting is that you don't have to rely a lot on other things. That is why you have diversification. That is why you have different species of trees. And then when you talk about hemp, I don't have much information on that, but similarly, that is one type of crop. Here we are talking about a variety of crops.
Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so neem, not just as a tree, but as a way of killing pests. So you take the neem and you dry it and boil it and then spray it, and it can kill pests. But I just wondered, when you support farmers, are you helping them buy any implements, farming implements?
Like in terms of inputs or tools and so forth?
Tools, yeah.
Definitely, Ms. Obida, all our capacity building. So I perhaps didn't mention this under the training, but through one of our projects, we are able to develop a curriculum for our farmers, not only the agroforestry farmers, but beekeepers and the farmers who are doing. What does that curriculum entail? It starts from the introduction to the intermediate to the advanced level, right? So at the very beginning, there's a number of trainings that farmers will undergo so that they can go to the next level and to the last level. Through each of these trainings, the farmers are provided with adequate tools so that they can be able to carry out their work. Because what is it that just training a farmer where they cannot be able to have their proper
Exactly.
tools to? Indeed, again, Ms. Ubida, you can follow us on the our Facebook page, Yasha Facebook page, where we always put out the work, the glamorous work that Yasha is doing, and you can see from there that not only do we provide the build capacity, but we also ensure that we give the farmers the proper, the adequate tools so that they can carry out their work.
Okay, so one other question to follow up on that is rural resilient Belize working with you?
I am not certain. I cannot talk about that at the moment, but I know from what I know, there is rural RRB working in San Jose with the same farmers that are working with us, the Green Creek Cooperative. I can only, and so there should be some sort of collaboration.
You know what? I think just to take back to Yasha, the turmeric farmers, we have 350. There's rural resilient Belize. We need to all meet at some point to work together to achieve similar goals.
Definitely, and I think that I will take that back, Ms. Ubida, I love your feedback. I love that you share that, because at the end of the day, it's all about networking. The farming population is not growing that much. So it's similarly, the farmers who are working, probably we are working it. Maybe your principle is different, but somehow the resources can be utilized more efficiently if we network. So here is just two pictures. This is a cornfield. This is in avocado. So a farmer has already used this area to be a cornfield, but decided that he wants to start agroforestry. So this is a sort of an open area being cultivated into an agroforestry manner. The other picture is already a forest area. Again, for this one here, you would want to thin down the forest, and then you plant your cacao in between and the other trees, right? So you have just a standing forest and you want to add more value to it. This is where also you can do the agroforestry system. So in terms of planting distance, right, we recommend that from one row to the other of cacao, you do 15 feet, and from one cacao tree to the next, you do 12 feet. There is also a variation in distance when it comes to one fruit tree to the other fruit tree, and then for timber trees, we talk at least 60 feet and above from one to the other. If you look here at this picture, we have basically papaya as temporary shade and Musa species banana, right? So this is in the first year. First, second year, we have these as temporary shade, as these other the male saplings, which in the agroforestry system are growing. So that's basically the setup. Fruit trees at least 30 feet apart, timber trees 60 feet. And again, for timber, we merely recommend that you put them at the border so that they can also provide us some form of buffer within plants. So what are some of the crops that we have? In terms of short term, we look at what that can be planted still within an agroforestry system within the first year: corn, beans, veggies, pineapples, okra, pumpkins, yams, peanuts. Now, when you're going to your second, your third year, you have papaya, you have jipijapa, banana, plantain, papayas, sugarcane. These are all midterm that still are merely your food source, can be your food, but also provide some form of shade to these young plants. And then for long term, well, your main crop is cacao, you have coffee, avocado or pear, oranges, breadnut, breadfruit, jackfruit, kennet, coconut, crabble, grapefruit, soursop, mango, golden plum. Then you have the nitrogen fixers, you have the timber species, right? And then also like the magic cacao, the neem, the moringa, all of these fall under the long term, right? Basically can serve as fodder as well. It can serve as pesticides, insecticides as well, like the magic cacao for the bee. You can also use that. So if you look at the system itself, throughout either the short, mid, or long term, there's a number of species of crops of plants that can be planted within the agroforestry system. So what are the results? Well, you have a very diverse and productive system. So throughout the year, you're able to get food not only for yourself, but for your animals. You have a diverse species, so you're not only talking about fruits, right? You have your short-term crops, you have your veggies, a wide variety of nutrients from these produce, right? And then you are sure that what you're eating doesn't have chemicals because it is within a system that has been certified organically. While these crops cannot be sold as certified because the certified is not certifying the coconut, he's not certifying the pear, he's certifying the cacao. It is still within that system, right? So you are certain that there is no pesticides being used in this area. And then you have a sustainable use system, land use system. So it's not that, okay, how do I've used this system now, I've used this land now, then next year, how do I start to regenerate, or how do I improve it, mulch, how do I improve it, compost? No, that system continues to grow. You're improving your soil content, you're improving your watershed, you're increasing biodiversity, you're increasing your wildlife presence. So all in all, it's a system that's for future generation, it can be utilized over and over. And there's an opportunity for value adding. Currently, our farmers within the MGL that we work with, they are selling their cacao as strictly wet beans. It is our hope, it is our intent at Yasha that we continue to build capacity them so they can do their own chocolate, they can do their own nibs in the future, so they can also be able to generate more income. There's also other crops that they grow. Some of these farmers are already doing, but small scale, so we have to look at what is there readily available so we can look at potential markets for them. And definitely strengthen management practices. So with the assessments going on, with the extension visits, definitely these farmers are up to par in terms of maintaining their farms. Yes, Mr. Roberto.
All right, good afternoon. I believe Mr. Jacob Marlin has had a question on the comment.
Yes.
If you could kindly answer that question, please.
Yes, what is the yield per hectare of cacao and what price? Okay, hectare, let's see. Let me say this way, it's 3,000 pounds. If you have a good farm, if you're really taking care of your farm, Mr. Jacob, you're doing at least 3,000 pounds per acre, right? So maybe 6,000 pounds per hectare, something like that. So that is wet beans, wet cacao beans, or en baba, as they call it in Spanish. So when you translate that now to dry beans, you're looking at least 1,200, 1,500 pounds per acre. Now,
And how
paid.
much?
Okay, so farmers right now, like I said, nobody is really buying dry beans. We have 2 or 3 companies that are buying wet beans, but they are buying at $1 per pound. Now, in reality, as a farmer, I would take that as a loss. But again, the agroforestry system, and that is why we come to promote it, not only looks at cacao, but it also looks at the other crops, so the farmers can benefit from the agro. More importantly, though, again, as I mentioned earlier, we want to continue to train the farmers and go up another notch, which is the value adding, right? So we have to build capacity there. So the farmers do not continue to sell just as well, but are able to do nibs, are able to do chocolate, are able to do perhaps some ecotourism, so they can very well bring more income into their homes. Does that answer your question?
I have another one following. Sorry,
Okay.
I
Go
didn't
ahead.
I didn't put my hand up. This in a cacao byproduct is the cacao husk, which we have been able to repackage and export. Have you thought about using cacao husk as a coffee alternative? It's amazing. Strong market out there.
Yeah, there is a lot of things that can be done, Ms. Abira. There's a lot of things when it comes to using the substitute. Currently, what we are doing is just leaving the pods to dry and use them and incorporate them as mulch within the farms. But I am certain there is a lot of other things that we can do. Currently, our focus is looking at how we can build capacity to have farmers do value adding.
So in value added, why don't you partner with other companies like Neolitical? For example, turmeric is 10,000 pounds an acre and $1.50 a pound, and is not invasive and works in that system that
Correct,
you have.
correct. Well, let me put it this way. I think Yasha is always open to dialogue. Ms. Christina, who is the director of Yasha, Ms. Christina Garcia, is always, her doors always open. So feel free, Ms. Umira, if you want to shoot an email, I will also share your feedback to her. Any other questions? Yeah, so basically that is what the agroforestry system comprised of, right? So looking at again all these results, and I wanted to share with you two videos. So as testimonies, these are testimonies from our farmer group, our farmers, our individual farmers, and farmer group. So let me quickly, if that will open. Individual farmer. Let me see the other one here. Talking about the importance of agroforestry system, the way they see it, because again, it's what we continue to promote, but they also have to have the buy-in, and farmers are seeing results, and we are able to get testimonies from them. So one is from a farmer in San Miguel, Mr. Martin Ak, and the other is from a group in San Jose, the Green Creek Farmers Cooperative. So when you have time on your own, you can be able to see that video. So the way forward for us at Yasha and the farmers. So the challenges, what are the challenges we see and why we continue to promote these practices, the agroforestry system, and awareness of healthy eating. If you go to schools, if you go around, you're trying to look for something healthy to eat, it's really hard to get something to eat healthy. You know, I was at one of the primary schools the other day, and they're selling biscuits. So, I mean, yes, it's some sort of snack, some sort of food, but is it healthy? And how do we address that? So we have the education and outreach program under the CUL program, under the Community and Livelihoods program that goes out in the communities, goes out to its students, to the schools, engage them and tell them to continue. What is it that we're doing and its importance. So that is very important, right? Building awareness on healthy eating, on the healthy foods and the type of practices that we promote. The other one is introduction of non-healthy food for consumers. When you go to the market, many a times there's diverse food, there's many vegetables, but a lot of times we don't ask, we are not responsible consumers, we don't ask, we just purchase. You see a bunch of callaloo there, all beautiful. You might have a little dust on it. You'll purchase that before you go purchase a bunch of callaloo that has a lot of holes, because it is the way that it has been shown to us that, oh, it's beautiful, it's big, it's juicy. But in reality, I would always want to purchase the one with the holes, because I know that farm or that farmer doesn't use chemicals, because the amount of insects that's feeding on the plants. So the callaloo that's beautiful, it's because it's been sprayed, that nothing has been touching it. So you have to be careful there, right? So it's at Yasha, we continue to promote healthy and quality foods. And how do we do that? How do we go and showcase the work of our farmers? How do we show our public that the type of survival systems that we're doing produces quality food, healthy food? One way is the Yasha Farmers Expo, right? Another way is we have signs. If you are coming down from Golden Stream and like around Indian Creek, Big Falls, you will see farms that talk about a farmer and the type of management practice that he's doing, funded and supported by Yasha. So those, if you're on the highway and want to buy some food, you want to talk with these farmers, feel free. And those are some of the ways that we continue to promote the work that our farmers are doing. Another challenge is support on policy for best practices in sustainable land use. And Ms. Amida, I hear you loud and clear when you talk about network. I hear you loud and clear when you talk about the practice that is done when it comes to turmeric. And I think a lot more work has to go in, not only at the farmer level, not only at the organization level, but at the national level, where we can talk about, continue to talk about best practices and enforce policies. Perhaps there's already a policy on land use, but we need to enforce it, because many times we have these policies and it's not being enforced. We have these regulations, it's not being enforced. But that will have to come from multi-stakeholder involvement, right, to ensure that policies are revised and enforced. The other challenge is the incentive for farmers. What was rightly asked earlier, how much is cacao, the price of cacao, right? For it to be lucrative for a farmer, it has to be at a good price, right? I wouldn't want to get paid the same way as a farmer that's doing conventional cultivation. But seemingly, that is the way it is at the moment. But how do we go beyond that? How do we advance from there? Again, we have to continue engaging our farmers and going that next level and talking about value adding, talking about other initiatives, incentives. We have the YICE arm for Yasha, right? It's the business arm that looks and works with farmers. And right now we're promoting a lot of ecotourism. So apart from the support in technical services and growing the crops and so forth, we're also able to take out guests, both local and international, to see the work that these farmers are doing. We are able to have women's group present the work that they are doing, and through that they are able to sell a bit more, and then have a little bit more income. The farmers are able to tell their story on their farm and able to get a little bit more income as well. So that's one of the ways we're looking at it. We don't look at it just from a price, oh, the price is bad and I want to leave. No, we look at other alternatives that we can continue to support the farmer so that they can continue to feel motivated and continue the great work that they are doing. So that's the way forward for us. At
Okay, I have a
Yasha,
couple of
and-
questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Have a couple of questions. One of them is, Dottie wants you to tell us about Yakche's Farmers Expo. Where do you hold it? How often? How many farmers participate? How many people attend? Are the products of the farmers for sale at the expo?
Yes, again, you can go to the website, right? We do that every year because of the COVID pandemic, it was not held as it should be, but definitely we go to the communities, right? We choose a community, and then the call program, the outreach program would select farmers. Then different personnel go in and check these farmers, because then they are categorized as to be farmer of the year. So we'd have to select different farmers that we go in, and then we say, okay, we choose this for particular reasons. We choose this farmer as the best. So we are also not only able to show the products on that day, but show the work or get testimonies from these farmers. And
So when and where is the expo usually held? Or when will it be held again?
Yes, the last one was, I believe, was held at the Yasha field station due to the COVID measures that were in place. But definitely, when we choose the community, we share that out, right? It's not the one specific year, but the leadership team along with the community, they choose the community. That would not be me. But when that is chosen, then we share that out to the public so that they can come out and see the work that Yasha is doing.
And another question, if Yakshe was not providing support, would the farmers in MMFR be able to continue farming? In other words, are their families financially sustainable without Yakshe subsidies?
Okay, so to share a bit there, Jacob, you have very good, very interesting questions, and I hope I'll be able to answer. Just to share a bit about the Maya Mountain North Forest Reserve, previous to Yasha engagement, these farmers were already in the concession. But we all know that, within the reserve, that cannot happen. So they were given notice to move out of the place. At that time, they were doing basic corn and beans as well. And then they were given notice to come out. And when they came out, they partnered with Yasha, or they sought support from Yasha, and that is how come they developed this concession agreement along with Yasha. So the support is still needed, Yasha being an intermediary, because there's regulations that has to be in place within the reserve, right? Well, when it comes to funding and annual budget, Ms. Ugida, I am not privy to that, so I won't be able to speak on that. I am here practical to speak on the agroforestry system, but you can direct your, and it's not to say that it's not being transparent, but that would be, I would leave that up to the operations director or the managing director, to executive director, to share that. And then the concession is really the license or the work, the agreement granted to work within the reserve. There are different types of concessions. There's like the logging concession within the reserve. You go right at Bladen. There's some concessions there. The difference with a logging concession and this cacao concession is that the logging concession is morely an extraction process. People, the owners, the concessionaires are in the concession extracting timber, right? Under some procedures and so forth. With the cacao concession, it's merely planting in the cacao within the concession. So you're utilizing the land, but you're also making income from it, right? So like, and overall, moreover to that, you're also safeguarding the area. So it's not like extraction. Well,
And I have another question.
yes.
Will, a couple more actually. Will Yakche be participating in World Food Day on October 14th?
I should think so. I'm not sure. Again, I work under the call program. Everyone, right? I'm here to talk merely about the technical support and the type of systems we promote. That would be another arm, but there is the communications and there's the operations arm at Yasha, so they would be have more information on that. But definitely when it comes to those national and international events, Yasha is there. In fact, we were recently at the Agriculture and Trade Show promoting some of the work that our farmers do as well.
And I see another question from Umida.
Yeah, are you getting pressure from farmers? Well, again, this is where I come back to talk about policy revision, policy enforcement, because we can do as much, but a lot of farmers also want to go into cattle, because right now the price of cattle is very okay, very good, more than okay, very good, right? But what is that doing to our environment? What is that doing to our lands, to our soil? So small scale farmers, I think the system that we are promoting is the best avenue that they can go and that they are going. Similarly, though, for those that are doing the cattle, they perhaps in the near future they would have to adopt some type of silvopastoral methods to be able to continue do that type of farming, but ensure that it can be sustainable. So similarly, we'll have to include some type of replanting of trees, regenerating some area. Yeah, so let me see here. Any other questions? So yeah, so basically that's it for my presentation on Cacao Agroforestry. I hope that it was an informative one. Please feel free. You can go to our website. Again, we have manuals on integrated farming system. We have stories of the Cacao Agroforestry concession. Our reports are there, so feel free to go in and see the work that we are doing. Feel free to learn about the practices and the results that we are getting from it. Any other questions?
In a comment, Karen is saying that if anybody's interested in growing neem trees, she has many seeds which she can bring to World Food Day.
Okay.
Because
So,
organic will be there.
Yeah, again, let me put this out there as well, that we have our main field station at the Golden Stream Reserve. So just past Golden Stream, you will see a big sign. We also have a nursery there. So if any one of you is interested, feel free to reach out. We have trees, timber trees. You want to incorporate food trees within your farm. You want to do cacao. You see now how exciting this system is, and you want to start something. Feel free to reach out to Yasha and get your seedling, because each seedling that you buy is supporting our farmers that we work with. All right. Let me see a comment here.
Okay. Yes, I see your message, Jacob. So I'll copy your email address and somebody will get in touch with you. Are there any other questions for Estevan? It was a great presentation. Lots of information, and y'all are doing such great things.
Yes, I want to also take the opportunity now that I'm here, that if any one of you, even if you're from Toledo and you want to visit these farms, feel free. You can contact us and we can share your information on our farmers if you want to go along. We want to show the work that we are doing. You know, we want to show the work that the farmers continue to do that is very impressive and continue to protect our area, our landscape. Right, if no more questions, then I want to say thank you, audience. You have been very good. I got one and two a bit hard questions, but feel free to reach out to us. That's our email address right there. That's our phone number. Feel free to reach out and just communicate with us if you need further information. So I want to thank you all and enjoy the
Hey,
rest of your
thank you
weekend.
too for
Thank
taking your time to present all of this information to us. And as I said earlier, this is being recorded. It has been, and the entire video will be posted on the proorganic.org website. And it also has all of the other speaker meetings there that anybody that missed any of the others for the last 2 years can go there and view them. It's very easy to get around on the website. Karen does an awesome job with it. And the next ProOrganic board meeting will be October 22nd. And ProOrganic will be at World Food Day on October 14th down in Stan Creek. And our next speaker meeting will be November 5th, and it's going to be about banana fibers and things we can do with the banana fibers, art, food, whatever. So please join us for that. Karen will get that lined up and sent out on our Facebook page. So we thank everybody for joining us today. And if there's no other questions for Esteban, we'll close it out.